For 1,316 days, Roman Reigns has destroyed the WWE roster as the top champion of the company. Alongside his family, who we will get into in a little bit, Roman has conquered the world of professional wrestling while silently helping to change it into something it hasn't been for decades. Yeah, wrestling is cool again. It's the most popular it has been since the Attitude Era, and Roman's reign as our tribal chief is a big reason why. So, my name is Grish from Wrestleology, and now that Roman's time in the sun has set as the tribal chief rests at his throne, let's look back at the entire run of Roman Reigns as the champion and the entire story of the Bloodline. But first, a bit of context for those newer fans. Back in 2012, Roman Reigns debuted as a part of The Shield, a group also consisting of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And back then, the group of fresh young stars took the world by storm, becoming one of the most popular teams in WWE history. However, soon after, the triumphant trio of young stars would break away from each other, with Seth Rollins backstabbing both Dean and Roman. And from there, WWE pushed Roman as the breakaway star of The Shield, slowly transforming him into their next John Cena. However, the problem with that is that the WWE crowd wholeheartedly rejected this booking. Drowning him in boos every chance they could, the WWE Universe spent years telling the company that they hated him, with the company ignoring the boos and forcing Roman the Big Dog Reigns down our throats as one of the worst babyfaces of the company. But then the world shut down, and with Roman's leukemia recently resurfacing before the COVID-19 pandemic, Roman was taken off TV and remained at home to not risk catching the disease. A few months later, however, Reigns decided to make his way back to WWE to target the coveted Universal Championship. After years of being booed by the crowd and after years of growing his power in the company as a good guy, Roman attacked Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt to close out SummerSlam 2020, finally doing the unthinkable. Roman Reigns had turned heel. And in case that wasn't clear following SummerSlam, on the following SmackDown, he aligned himself with the detestable Paul Heyman, and with Heyman by his side, Roman quickly captured the Universal Championship at Payback in a triple threat match against Bray and Braun, establishing himself as the biggest bad guy on SmackDown. The kingpin of WWE had finally shown his true colors, turning back on the fans and showcasing why he was the newest top villain of sports entertainment. But that takes us now to the run as champion, the historical reign of Roman that began so strongly, defeating two of the most terrifying opponents on SmackDown, brought us then to Clash of Champions. After Big E was attacked in the lead up to a number one contenders match on SmackDown, Jey Uso replaced the powerhouse to shockingly become Roman's next challenger. With Jimmy out of action due to injury, Jey had earned himself a golden opportunity as a singles competitor. This development shocked a lot of fans at the time, since the Usos were never really used in this way before. Being literal twins made them a tag team for life in the eyes of WWE and the fans, so it was shocking to see Jey be used in this major way while Jimmy was out of action. During the build-up to their match at Clash of Champions, Roman started calling himself the Tribal Chief, demanding that Jey would do the same. Their personal relationship as cousins was brought more into the spotlight, with Roman addressing himself as part of the Anoa'i family more than ever before. And this deep personal connection brings us to Clash of Champions, where Roman ran a little experiment with his cousin. During the match, and with nobody else in attendance, Roman started speaking to his cousin. This, along with the slow pace of the match, made it feel almost cinematic in a sense. Instead of just doing moves, Roman was telling a wrestling story in a more unique way, making every single blow feel that much more powerful. The WWE Universe responded very positively to this new match style that he presented on TV, with the Thunderdome being used to its fullest potential whenever Roman appeared from here on out. Oh, and to add drama to the match, Jimmy Uso ran down to stop Roman from beating down his twin brother, throwing in the towel on his behalf and giving Roman a win via forfeit. Following this, Jey's tension with Roman grew as he continued to demand for Jey's respect as the Tribal Chief. So an I Quit Hell in a Cell match was made at Hell in a Cell, with the Universal title once again on the line. However, another stipulation was added to the match that would change the WWE for nearly 4 years. To grow his power in the company, Roman added the stipulation that if Jey lost, he would then have to follow Reigns' orders and join him at his side or be kicked out of their family. And at Hell in a Cell, Roman was able to beat Jey after repeatedly attacking Jimmy, forcing Jey to save his injured brother and say the words, "I quit." And given no other option, Jey submitted to Roman in the build-up to Survivor Series. Despite screaming "I hate you" and pleading for Roman to stop his tyranny over him, Jey was still positioned as a subservient lapdog of the tribal chief. He even forced Jey to showcase a twisted sense of obligation and loyalty by attacking Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, showing that Roman has manipulated his cousin into a ruthless second. But despite losing for Team SmackDown at the upcoming Survivor Series event, Jey was still able to prove his usefulness by attacking Drew McIntyre in Roman's main event defense against the Scottish Psychopath and helping Roman retain the Universal title. Roman, happy at Jey's servitude, gave him a new title. Not only was Jey Uso now called the right-hand man to Roman, helping him run through SmackDown, but he was also promoted to main event Jey Uso. This stroke of ego made Jey even more destructive. Even when Jimmy tried to pull his brother away from Roman, Jey stood right at the side of the tribal chief. With this anger now within Jey, he would look to unleash it on SmackDown against Kevin Owens, beginning a feud with Owens and the Samoan Cousins. Roman challenged him to a TLC match at TLC 2020, and there, like with Drew, Jey interfered to help Roman retain the gold. A pattern began forming with his victory, with Roman's family constantly coming in to interfere on his behalf during the rest of his title run. And due to this, Kevin was able to earn a rematch at the 2021 Royal Rumble event against Roman. This time, it was a last man standing match. After brawling all throughout the Thunderdome, Roman once again retained the belt following the help of Paul Heyman. And later in the show, Edge shocked the world by winning the Royal Rumble match, last eliminating Randy Orton to secure his ticket to WrestleMania. But while we waited to see who he'd pick as his opponent at the show, Roman would start to feel the weight of the championship with each passing week. With Edge now on the horizon, Roman saw more contenders lining up on SmackDown. So at Elimination Chamber, Roman made a deal with the higher-ups alongside Paul Heyman. To open the show, a 6-man chamber match took place where the winner would immediately get a shot at Roman's Universal Championship the following match. And after dealing with the brutal chamber structure on his body, Daniel Bryan was able to secure the win and earn the right to face Roman just moments later. But despite a yes-lock attempt to open the match, Roman was able to quickly get back on his feet and defeat Bryan. However, before we could celebrate the quick retention, Roman was speared by Edge, who then pointed at the WrestleMania sign, choosing Reigns as his opponent at WrestleMania. This, alongside another screw you retention against Bryan at Fastlane, pushed us into the main event of WrestleMania 37. There, Roman defended his Universal Championship against both Edge and Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match in front of the first show with a live attendance in a year. In what was one of the best matches of the weekend, they put on an absolute brawl with some rather fun and creative spots that further secured all three men as some of the most innovative in the company. This creativity also brought us to the finish of the match, where Roman used his power to send a chilling message to the WWE roster. After interference from Jey Uso, Roman was able to hit a concerto on Edge, and with Edge completely out cold, Roman was able to pull the lifeless body of Daniel Bryan over him, covering both men at the same time and retaining the title. Two legends destroyed by the tribal chief as he stacked and pinned them. And if that message wasn't loud enough, a few weeks later on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan made a deal with Roman. Another Universal title match between Reigns and Bryan took place, with an added stipulation that if Bryan lost, he would leave WWE. And despite putting on one of the best performances in SmackDown history, Roman was able to secure another victory and Daniel Bryan left the company. In front of no fans, Daniel Bryan walked out of WWE to now join AEW as one of its biggest stars. And as Bryan Danielson looked forward to kicking people's heads in on Dynamite, Roman moved to WrestleMania Backlash. Following Jimmy Uso's recent return to WWE, he joined the Bloodline as a concerned and brother of Jey. He could see that something was wrong with Roman's power over his brother, so he cautiously joined the group in support of Jey. And with this massive addition, Roman was able to secure a victory over #1 contender Cesaro at WrestleMania Backlash. And with the Usos back as a tag team, it was clear that they were ready to win the tag team titles. And they soon got their match on SmackDown, challenging Rey and pre-Judgment Day Dominic Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. However, during the match, the referee did not notice that Jimmy had his shoulder up during the final pin, leading to the Usos going backstage and demanding for a rematch that very night. But in a cruel twist, Reigns interfered during the rematch by attacking the Mysterios. Looking to add pressure and to further manipulate the Usos, Roman purposefully made them lose their shot because they embarrassed the family earlier in the evening with their loss. Reigns took the attack too far, and this caused an even further tear between them. Roman then successfully defended his title against a vengeful Rey on SmackDown in a Hell in a Cell match. But while the Bloodline continued to battle against the Mysterio family, Roman would be forced to meet an enemy of his past in Edge. Making his return to SmackDown, Edge immediately challenged Roman to a match at Money in the Bank, the first show in front of a live crowd since WrestleMania 37. And there, not only did the Usos finally begin their record-breaking reign as tag champions, but Roman also retained his title against Edge. This time, in an interesting turn of events, it was following the interference of Seth Rollins. Of course, they have their history with the Shield, but Seth had begun a feud with Edge in the build-up to the show, so this was his way of getting back at him. However, with Roman raising the title over Edge's body, another figure from his past would make a shocking return. John Cena ran down to the ring, staring down the Tribal Chief as we went into an era with the live crowd finally ditching the Thunderdome. But like with the Thunderdome, Roman was a dominant champion, and after showing just how much he'd grown since his first feud with Cena years prior, both in the ring and on the mic, Roman was able to once again defend his title at SummerSlam. After a devastating spear to the gut of Cena, Roman pinned the challenger to retain and end SummerSlam as the most destructive force in WWE. Or so he thought. Brock Lesnar made his return to the company, staring down Roman Reigns as their never-ending rivalry looked to add another chapter. Before facing off against Brock, however, Roman was first able to successfully defend his championship against Finn Balor at Extreme Rules. Taking on the Demon, the match ended when the turnbuckle exploded out of the corner as Balor set up for the coup de grace, sending him crashing to the mat. Yeah, this was a very awkward and bad moment in an otherwise stellar reign for the Tribal Chief. Honestly, this was probably my least favorite match in the entire reign of Roman Reigns. I'm a huge Finn Balor guy, so them kind of doing this weird thing with the Demon did not sit right with me. And it also didn't really help that his match with Brock Lesnar took place at Crown Jewel the following month, when fans were already sick to death of them fighting. Thankfully then, the new elements of Roman's character actually helped save the match. For once, Brock was the good guy against the villainous Roman, who was able to defeat Brock after interference from the Usos. Notably, Paul Heyman made sure to keep very neutral in this match, choosing to not pick a side as he ended the night standing behind the champion. On the following SmackDown, however, Brock went on a rampage as he attacked Roman, the Usos, and anyone else he could get his hands on. After Roman beat Big E at Survivor Series in a Raw vs SmackDown champion vs champion matchup, Roman was set for another big title defense against the now even angrier Brock Lesnar at Day 1 2022. However, on the day of the show, Roman was pulled from the card after testing positive for COVID, and in his absence, Brock was added to the WWE Championship match, defeating Big E in a fatal 5-way to win the title. This was actually insane because had Roman not gotten COVID and went through with that match against Brock, Brock was actually scheduled to win that match. So Roman not being there for that match and not losing the championship was one of the biggest butterfly effects we've ever seen in wrestling, but that's a topic for a different video. Anyway, leading into the Royal Rumble, Reigns would begin feuding with his old Shield partner, Seth Rollins. Coming from Raw as a special challenger for Roman's title, Seth looked to have Roman's number during their match at Royal Rumble, leading to a rare DQ win for Seth over the Tribal Chief. Purposefully disqualifying himself, Reigns chose to lose the match but retained the title via champion's advantage, showing that Roman might be more vulnerable than he lets on. And from there, Roman was able to dodge Seth after Goldberg challenged him to a match at Elimination Chamber. After their WrestleMania 36 match was cancelled due to the pandemic, Roman was finally able to defeat Goldberg before walking into perhaps the biggest match of his career at WrestleMania 38. By the way, that match against Goldberg, not a good one either in my opinion. But there, following the return of the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, Roman ended night 2 of WrestleMania 38 with a match against Brock Lesnar. There, both men put their titles on the line with both the Universal and WWE Championships up for grabs. And after an absolute war, Roman was able to hit a 4th spear to keep the Beast down and leave with both championships, marking him as the definitive top champion in WWE. And with him holding both titles, and with the Usos still holding the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, Roman decided that he wanted to add more accolades for the Bloodline. The group then began feuding with RK Bro in pursuit of their Raw Tag Team titles, as Drew McIntyre started to target Roman as well, looking to become the next #1 contender. And after the Bloodline was able to defeat the trio of Drew McIntyre and RK Bro at WrestleMania Backlash, the Usos were able to defeat RK Bro a few weeks later on SmackDown to win the Raw Tag Team titles, holding both sets of tag belts. With the group seemingly at its most powerful now, a very unexpected man looked to join in on the Bloodline and send the entire group in an entirely new direction. While Drew kept targeting Roman, he had also been feuding with Sami Zayn on Raw. So with a combined enemy, Sami started buddying up with the Usos, with Jimmy and Sami quickly becoming good friends. Sure, he was a bit out of place, with the Bloodline frequently reminding him of such by refusing to officially add him to the group, but he was still welcome because, well, how could you not just love Sami Zayn? He would frequently join the Bloodline in segments, even after his feud with Drew had ended, proving to be the highlight of every segment with his goofy and lovable attitude. Reigns, while remaining the Undisputed Champion, only defended his title on rare occasions, such as when he beat Matt Riddle on the June 17th episode of SmackDown. However, as Sami continued to try and cozy up to Reigns, Brock Lesnar would re-enter Roman's life leading into SummerSlam. Looking to avenge his loss at WrestleMania and to try and measure up to Heyman's loyalties, Brock challenged him to a last man standing match with the added stipulation that if Brock lost, he would not be able to challenge Roman again during his reign. And in this chaotic affair that saw Brock Lesnar enter in on a freaking tractor and destroy the entire ring, Roman was just able to retain, following help once again from the Usos. However, after what was easily the most exciting match of his feud with Lesnar, Roman was forced to look ahead towards Clash at the Castle. There, Roman walked into Cardiff as Drew McIntyre finally got his chance at the Undisputed Championship. After months of waiting for his opportunity, with Sami and the Bloodline continuously distracting him in pursuit of the match, Drew walked into perhaps the biggest match of his entire career. And with the Usos reportedly unable to travel overseas to the show, when Drew lined up that final Claymore kick, it looked like Drew would finally win the big one in front of a sold-out crowd. But then, another unexpected twist was added to the story. While Sami was struggling to join the Bloodline due to Jay's mistrust, the group would add another man in Solo Sikoa. As the referee counted the pin, with Drew looking to finally win the title, the ref was pulled out of the ring by Solo. Making his debut on the main roster, Solo watched as Roman nailed Drew with a spear to retain both championships. With Drew furiously ripped away from the title picture, Roman returned his focus to the Bloodline, as Solo now stood alongside him, quickly capturing the NXT North American title for 1 week. Roman continuously addressed the crowd to remind us of the group's dominance. However, during these segments, Sami Zayn would continue to put in his opinions as he grew closer to the group. Jay became more annoyed at Sami, believing that he was just trying to use the Bloodline to get ahead in his career. However, despite this frustration, the rest of the group slowly started taking a liking to Sami. Even Roman started to like the guy. He even gave Sami a t-shirt that said Honorary Us on it, showing his appreciation of the underdog from the underground. With Sami growing more comfortable with Roman, Logan Paul decided to target the Undisputed Championship following several impressive performances in WWE. Using his star power, he was able to challenge Roman for the title at Crown Jewel, losing to the Tribal Chief in what was actually one of the better matches of Roman's entire reign. Logan Paul is honestly very good in the ring. But following Crown Jewel, Sami's best friend Kevin Owens started to question why he was seemingly joining this toxic group. With Sami showing conflicting feelings when talking to Kevin Owens, the rest of the Bloodline started growing more suspicious of both men. Could they trust Sami Zayn, or would he betray them? And with the Bloodline beginning a feud with the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre, a 5-on-5 Wargames match was made for Survivor Series to not only handle all of this tension, but to see if the Bloodline could trust Sami Zayn after all. And after a chaotic fight within the cage, Sami finally proved his loyalty by attacking Kevin Owens. Turning his back on his best friend, Sami low-blowed him and hit him with a Helluva Kick, and to finally earn Jay's trust, Sami allowed him to hit the Uso splash on Kevin and pick up the pinfall victory. This all led up to the 2023 Royal Rumble event. Kevin would continue to target Roman Reigns for poisoning his friend, and after teaming up with John Cena to defeat Roman and Sami on SmackDown, Kevin once again walked into the Royal Rumble as the challenger to Roman Reigns. However, Roman clearly knew about Zayn's history with Kevin, making him more paranoid. On Raw is 30, the Bloodline put on a trial in tribal court. In one of the best segments of the last decade, Zayn says that the Bloodline can trust him. However, when Solo was given the orders to attack him, Jey Uso shockingly stepped in the way, protecting the man who spent months wiggling into his heart. With Jey standing up for Zayn, Roman allowed him to stay for now. And with the Bloodline watching Zayn's every move during the match at the Royal Rumble, Roman was able to retain the Undisputed Championship. After the match though, Roman led an attack on Kevin Owens, with the Usos even handcuffing Owens to the ropes, powerless to stop this brutal assault. Roman, testing Sami's loyalty after this, handed him a steel chair and instructed to hit Kevin. But with his back turned and Sami's heart split between two worlds, Zayn did the unthinkable. He smashed the chair into the back of Roman, sending him crumbling to the floor, showing shades of what happened back in 2014 when Seth attacked Roman. And with Jey in a shocked sadness, Jimmy, the guy Zayn was originally friends with, superkicked Sami with no hesitation. Solo, Jimmy, and Reigns all beat down Zayn, with a heartbroken Jey walking away. Zayn had betrayed Jey's family, and that betrayal left him in tears as he walked away from the scene. But following this, Cody looked to mark a date with Destiny by winning the 2023 Royal Rumble match. After returning nearly a year earlier and proclaiming that he would be the WWE Champion, he finally had his opportunity to main event WrestleMania and become WWE Champion. But who would Cody face at WrestleMania? Well, at the following month's Elimination Chamber event, we would find out, with Roman Reigns defending the championship against Sami Zayn in a sold-out Montreal crowd. After finally leaving the Bloodline, Zayn was getting his chance at a once-in-a-lifetime chance to main event WrestleMania. And with his home country crowd behind him in Canada, Zayn looked poised to have the Tribal Chief beat. During the match, however, things fell apart for Zayn. After Jey Uso entered the scene, Reigns berated him for showing affection towards his challenger despite turning his back on the family. Roman then handed Jey a chair, instructing him to hit Zayn, who refused to do so. And after Zayn picked the momentum back up, he accidentally hit Jey Uso when targeting Reigns. This momentary heartbreak gave Roman the opportunity he needed to win the match with a spear. And following the match, Kevin Owens would run down to save Zayn from an attack by the Bloodline, beginning their journey as a tag team heading into WrestleMania 39. But with the Usos now destined to defend their tag titles against KO and Sami, Roman had his own date with Destiny with Cody Rhodes. To tell you the story behind this match, really, I have to tell you the story of Cody Rhodes, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Being the son of one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, Dusty Rhodes, Cody entered WWE at a young age in the late 2000s. There, he would have a decent run, winning a couple titles here and there, but never really living up to his full potential. And after being saddled with the Stardust character for a few years, and also after the passing of Dusty, Cody would leave the WWE. He would begin to travel the world, helping create a wind of change in pro wrestling, becoming one of the most popular wrestlers in the world as he reinvented himself into a main event star. He, alongside The Elite and Tony Khan, began AEW, the biggest competitor to WWE in decades. And there, he put on some of the biggest matches in the world, building up both the company and his own name in the process until finally returning at WrestleMania 38. The night after, as he mentioned earlier, he promised to win the WWE Championship after Dusty failed to win the title during his career. And after putting on another star-making performance at Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins, the one where he walked in with a nasty injury, Cody returned during the Royal Rumble match to win the whole thing and bring us to WrestleMania 39. And then he lost. After Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn won the tag team titles the night before from the Usos, Cody Rhodes failed to rip away that last piece of gold from the Bloodline. After Solo Sikoa interfered in the match to hit him with a Samoan spike, Roman was able to steal the victory, and Cody's story had a sad, harsh ending. But with Cody now seemingly in Roman's past, he would once again look to gather his bearings and check up on the Bloodline. Roman addressed the Usos after their loss at WrestleMania, with Kevin Owens and Sami continuing their feud with them over the next while. Reigns watched as at Backlash, the Bloodline defeated the team of Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. During the match, however, there was a moment of tension in the family as Solo almost hit Jay with a Samoan spike, and tensions continued growing within the Bloodline over the next few weeks. As Kevin and Sami kept getting into the minds of the Usos, in the heat of the moment, Jimmy proclaimed himself to be the tribal chief. And this brought out a very angry Roman Reigns, who after hearing this disrespect decided to punish the Usos ahead of the tag team title match at Night of Champions. There, instead of it being a rematch from WrestleMania 39, Kevin and Sami defended the titles against the new duo of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. And with all the tensions in the Bloodline, things looked to fall apart quite easily. During the tag team match at Night of Champions, the Usos ran down to get involved, saving Roman and Solo from defeat. And as they attacked Zayn and Owens, however, Solo got caught in the crossfire with Roman watching on. Afterwards, Reigns started berating the Usos, with everyone in the ring fed up with one another. That is, until Jimmy Uso nailed Roman Reigns with a super kick to the stunned excitement of the crowd. And that is before hitting another kick on Roman, with Jay in shock and unsure what to do next. The brothers left the ring, leaving Owens and Zayn to retain the tag team championships. And following Night of Champions, the Bloodline once again met in the ring. There, Roman demanded a reason for Jimmy's actions, with Jay joining Roman in berating his brother. That is until swerving Roman and hitting him with a super kick, aligning himself with Jimmy and kicking off a Bloodline civil war. At Money in the Bank, the Usos were able to stand united against Roman and Solo, beating them, and Jay even also got the opportunity to pin Roman at the end of the match, making him the first man to pin Roman Reigns in over 3 years. This victory, alongside Jay's rise in popularity, led us to the main event match at SummerSlam the following month. After Roman and Solo injured Jimmy Uso into the weeks leading up to the show, Jay walked into the event as the challenger to Roman's Undisputed Championship all alone. In a tribal combat match, a no DQ match where the winner is given the title of Tribal Chief, Jay fought like hell to win the championship. However, in a twist that still feels a little bit odd today, Jay Uso was suddenly attacked during the match by his brother, Jimmy Uso. Yeah, the guy who originally turned his back on Roman a few months prior had now rejoined the Bloodline, helping him retain the Undisputed title as well as the title of Tribal Chief. Anyways, with Jimmy now in the Bloodline, Jay Uso decided that he had enough of his family and quit SmackDown, soon joining Raw to become main event Jay Uso, establishing himself as a main event star. And while Roman disappeared from our screens following SummerSlam to take a hiatus, another star was establishing himself as an up-and-coming main eventer. With the WWE crowd fully getting behind and turning him into one of the most over superstars on the roster, LA Knight, skyrocketed up the card. He began feuding with the Bloodline, a man unafraid of this destructive force on SmackDown, and when Roman returned, LA Knight got right up in his face and stepped up to the challenge. So a match was made between them at Crown Jewel, with LA Knight looking to become the fastest rising star in WWE as Undisputed Champion. However, despite the popularity, LA Knight was unable to defeat Roman following more interference from Jimmy Uso. However, LA Knight vowed that he wasn't done with the Bloodline, and with Randy Orton and AJ Styles both returning to join Knight in targeting Roman's championship, it seemed like the odds kept leaning away from Roman. So when Orton, Knight, and Styles all fought in a number 1 contenders match on SmackDown, the Bloodline actually ran down to try and take out all 3 men. However, with the match ending in a no contest, it was announced that all 4 men would instead face off at the Royal Rumble. However, even though 4 men entered the match, Roman, AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton, only 1 man left as the Tribal Chief retained the championship. But Roman had bigger problems following the show, because after winning the Royal Rumble match the year prior, Cody Rhodes was able to go 2 in a row by winning the match again, setting his sights towards WrestleMania 40. And then we get to the build. The storyline leading us into our grand finale and into arguably the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. After The Rock joined the board of directors at TKO, WWE's parent company, WWE started to tell a weird and frankly bad story. Cody came out and announced that The Rock would take his place at WrestleMania and challenge Roman instead. And this was massively booed by the audience, with fan backlash forcing the company to pivot. At the WrestleMania 40 kickoff event, a few months out from the show, Cody came out and announced that he was taking back what he said, choosing Roman as his opponent. Cody then berated Roman, saying that his family would be ashamed of him and ashamed of The Rock. And Rock didn't take too kindly to that, intensely staring down the American Nightmare before smacking him across the face. This moment began The Rock down a dark path, turning on the people and joining the Bloodline. With Roman Reigns as the Tribal Chief and The Rock as the self-proclaimed final boss of WWE as a member of the TKO board, this duo was seemingly unstoppable. Cody, in targeting Roman, looked throughout WWE for an ally, and in the end, this brought him to the World Heavyweight Champion at the time, Seth Rollins. Injured and broken down, Seth still stood against the Bloodline. Not only did he hate this version of Roman Reigns, but he also hated The Rock for trying to steal the spotlight. The two teams, Seth and Cody, as well as Roman and Rock, only grew more and more spiteful as the weeks went on. Eventually, another match was added to the card that changed the entire foundation of WrestleMania 40. Before Night 2, before Cody's match with Roman, and before Seth's World Heavyweight title defense against Drew McIntyre, a tag team match was made to main event Night 1. The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. If Seth and Cody win, then the Bloodline promises to not get involved during Roman versus Cody. But if The Rock and Roman win, then their match is an anything goes Bloodline rules match. And in the end of their tag match, Rock and Roman were able to win, with Roman handing Rock the pinfall victory over Cody Rhodes in a sign of respect. The following night, Roman and Cody went to absolute war. With Bloodline rules in effect, the two men brawled all throughout the arena before Cody was able to hit a crossroads on Roman. Before he could hit another, Jimmy Uso ran in to attack him. However, before he could do too much damage to Cody, Jey Uso ran down to save him, with Jey spearing Jimmy off the stage to the ground below. And following the save, Cody once again picked up the momentum, hitting 2 more crossroads before Roman Reigns was once again saved by Solo Sikoa. After a near fall following a Samoan spike and spear combination by Roman and Solo, Cody was saved as John Cena made his return to even the odds, hitting an attitude adjustment onto Solo through the announce table, as well as giving Roman one too. However, as Cena stood over Solo, The Rock made his way to the ring to stare down his old rival. And after a tense stare down, Cena was nailed with a rock bottom. And as Rocky stood over him, Seth Rollins came out to the ring with the Shields music playing throughout the arena, getting into the mind of Roman, before Roman ended up Superman punching him and saving The Rock. But as The Rock, untouched, went to hit Cody Rhodes with his custom weight belt for Cody's mother, Mama Rhodes, the lights suddenly went out and all you heard was... When they came back up, The Undertaker appeared in the ring to chokeslam The Rock, and the Dead Man evened up the odds in a shocking WrestleMania moment before Cody made his own moment by hitting Roman Reigns with 3 consecutive crossroads. And after over 3.5 years of one of the most dominating championship reigns in WWE history, Cody Rhodes finally defeated Roman Reigns to become the new undisputed WWE champion. Everyone from Roman's past came down to the ring afterwards, with a new main event hero being crowned as Roman rests at his throne. And with WrestleMania 40 in our rearview mirror, Roman's run on top has come to an end. Pride at what he's created. Was it a perfect run? No, but it's pretty damn close. Not only did he enter us into one of the greatest wrestling stories of all time, but think of all the other superstars he's elevated in his run. Main event Jey Uso, Bloodline members Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, the guy who dethroned Gunther as Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn, and the guy who ultimately defeated him for the title, Cody Rhodes, not to mention all the other names he's elevated just by working with them like LA Knight, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and even Logan Paul. However, despite losing the title, Roman still sits at the head of the table for now, as we see what happens with Roman Reigns and the rest of the Bloodline moving forward after this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a like and subscribe to not miss the next one.